And welcome everybody. Welcome, welcome.
And welcome everybody. Welcome, welcome.
Looks like my audio is working just fine. We'll wait for uh, some people to arrive here. This is a live stream, IRL, in real life. This time I am bringing you the DeAgostini Shelby GT500 Mustang. 1967 Mustang. This is the unique size, being 1/6 scale, so it is huge. It's almost as big as my bench here. I am working on pack 21. So this is cool because we begin to work on the engine here. Okay. The only parts we received with the engine so far has been the intake manifold and valve covers that are all combined here. They were assembled earlier, but very nice there. Most of the parts here are pre-painted or molded in the color plastic of the part. All right, so once again, you get to watch me build for my channel. This is part of a playlist for the DeAgostini Ford Mustang 1/6 scale. And if you go to my regular video sections or my playlist, in the tab above on my main page, you'll see the playlist for this. I have approximately 20 videos uploaded, maybe a little more. I know I did a few shorts for this, but here you get the opportunity of watching me build pack 21, which is 4 stages, 87 through 90, and we get to continue with the engine this time. So we're not actually going to have the car in front of us. We're just going to have parts for the engine here. So if you're just joining me for the first time, welcome to my channel. Smash that like button so it helps out my channel immensely. It tells YouTube that people are watching my videos. I would appreciate that. There's a lot going on in this world right now, and I'm a little bit tired of looking at it. So much. So this is a nice break for me, and it could be a nice break for you also. If you had this kit in front of you, you could go ahead and get on your bench and just concentrate on what you're doing here, not worry about what's going on in the world, and enjoy yourself and relax. I hope everybody's having a good day. I know East Coast is 2 hours ahead of me. You guys are at 10:42. Some of you are at home, and if you're at the workbench, go ahead and continue watching me here. I may start another build after this because it's 4 stages here, but there's a lot to do here in these 4 stages. We really do a lot with the top end of the engine here. And it's really nice what they did. The engineering for this is far superior than some of the other kits that are in the 1/8 scale. I built the Agora Models GT500 Mustang, the white and blue one, and that was a lot of fun to build that. That's on my shelf. And I started on the Eleanor. Now the Eleanor was part of Eagle Moss, and I was able to get all the parts for it. I stopped building it, and I don't think I didn't stop building it because of Eagle Moss or anything. I stopped building it because I got to the point where I was building the engine and I wanted to paint the engine block, and I kind of stopped there. So I do want to resume that build very soon here. Some of the other part work kits that I stopped building is the DB5. It's finished, but I want to fix some items on it. that I didn't like. So I'm going to be doing a video for that, showing you what I do to improve that kit, but it's finished. The GTR, Nissan GTR, I'm almost done with that. I stopped building it. That kit went from Eagle Moss to Exo Collections. So I actually have all the parts for the GTR. I actually have the engine parts. There was a separate kit. It was a bonus that you got a large scale version of the engine. And I'll build that also on my channel. But I did stop that because I have to kind of spread out things here and prioritize my builds. The other one is the Ecto 1. Now the Ecto 1 I didn't get all the parts from Eagle Moss on that. However, it was very nice of Fan Home to send me the rest of the parts for that, for the Ecto 1. I have that complete, all the parts. The kit's not complete. I need to continue and resume that build. And once again, it's not a priority. It's going to become a little bit later, but I do have a playlist for that. Another one that I stopped building was the DeLorean, the Back to the Future DeLorean. Once again, that was from Eagle Moss, and I didn't get all the parts from Eagle Moss. Very nice of Fan Home to send me those parts. However, I had to pay for them, and I stopped that subscription right at when they were starting to send some of the other stuff, the other add-ons. I just wanted the car. I didn't want all the other stuff. So I have all the parts to finish that car. And believe me, I'm almost done with that car. But once again, I have to prioritize my builds, and that one will come later on my channel. I do have a playlist for that. I have a lot of good tips and techniques for that build. Now the Gauntlet build, that's one I subscribed to, and I was keeping up with the monthly subscriptions and building. It's a very easy build. It's a lot of fun. And then all of a sudden I was missing a part. I requested the part, and they told me I'm not getting that part until the end of the subscription, and they were right on their words. Their promise was met. I didn't get the part I needed until the very end, so I had to stop that build because there's no way I could continue missing a part. So that one is coming later. I'll be building it. Now the other one that I haven't finished, there's a lot of them you can see here, is the R2-D2. The R2-D2, I got that from Model Space way back in the day, and I've been building it as I go. I'm not in a big hurry with that one. Picked up a lot of tips and pointers with that build from other builders on YouTube, and they've been very helpful. Let me think, is there any other kits that I'm not currently building that are on hold? I think that's pretty much it. So you guys have noticed I am back to building the Exo Collections MB Willys Jeep, the Army Jeep, and starting to work on the trailer for it and the gun for it. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And then I am back to building, what else? I'm doing some of the newer ones is this one here, obviously. The SAS Willys Jeep, that's a newer one. I'm all caught up with that. Oh, I'm not caught up with the Millennium Falcon. I have two more packs to build, and there's a lot to do there. Then I can go ahead and paint it, because I'm going to get to the point where I'm almost done with it, and then I'm going to paint it and do all my markings and weathering on it. Very similar to what Steve Dimzo did with his. He has a 4-part painting series on YouTube, and you can find those links under my Millennium Falcon builds. The Enterprise D, I have all the parts for it. I have three more packs to build there. I think I'm still waiting for the decals from them, and they haven't arrived yet. But no fret, if I never get those decals, that's okay, because I do have the Steve Dimzo aftermarket decals for the Enterprise. So those will definitely be going on the Enterprise D when I get to that point. Okay, that pretty much wraps up everything. The other one that I'm currently building, and I'll be doing that here, you'll probably see that come out this week, is the LaFerrari from Agora Models. That's a lot of fun. I've been having a lot of fun with that one. That one, every one of these kits go together a little differently, and it makes it fun because you're not really doing the same thing as you expect to do from the other kits. So that's what makes these kits so much fun. And I am anxiously waiting for the very next build on my channel, and that is you're going to need a bigger boat from Jaws, the Orca boat, fishing boat. That is on its way, and it will be here, and I will be building that on my channel. So I look forward to that one too. That's 1/16 scale. I am a big Jaws fan. I remember going to the movies with my dad when I was a teenager, and that movie totally frightened me and affected me for the rest of my life. Even as an adult, I was afraid to go out into the water on my own, too far out, especially in shark infested waters like down in the Bahamas and Puerto Rico and all that too, and out in Florida, southern Florida, Miami, Fort Lauderdale. Always in the back of my mind thinking there could be a shark out there. Only all because of that movie. Now, it may be different for you because many of you who are younger than me grew up with Sharknado and all those AI created shark movies. And those are kind of crazy. I watched a few of them, but really for me, it's the ultimate shark movie is Jaws. So, big collector of Jaws. I have many 3D printed Jaws kits. I have some Legos dealing with Jaws. I have some Fun Pops, those little characters you can buy that are Jaws. So, big fan. I have a few of the books too. Wonderfest, the author for one of the books, was there. And I should have brought my book with me. He was selling them there. I should have brought it with me and had him sign it. There was a big anniversary last year for Jaws. I think it was the 60th anniversary. But there you go. So we're going to work on this Mustang, and we're going to work on the engine. I'm going to go ahead and film my intro, and I will be back with you guys. The chat is open. By the way, the chat is open. Please join the chat. Ask any questions you may have. Also, something new, brand new, I have started memberships for my channel. So if you'd like to become a member, it's there for you to help support my channel and my endeavors. By becoming a member, you're going to get early access to some of my videos. You'll also get early access to any model kits I go to sell off my channel. I have a huge stash. I'm not even going to say how many kits I have, but well over 25 to 30 years of collecting model kits. I will be selling them on my YouTube channel, kind of almost like an auction style, and we'll see how that goes. Some of the ideas I have I'm getting from my wife. She watches a lot of the jewelry channels and how they sell their jewelry. I'll be doing the same for these kits that I offer, and you'll have early access to that if you're a member. The other thing, as a member, you'll have the perks are giveaways. I'll be doing some very large giveaways. I'm not talking about $30 model car kits or anything like that. We're talking upper scale science fiction kits that are out there, upper scale airplane kits that are out there, and some Star Wars kits. So stay tuned for that. The best way you could do to support my channel, even if you don't want to become a member, is just subscribe and hit that like button. Okay, hitting the like gets me out there. I'm almost at a threshold where I'm going to start the giveaways. I need to have a little more subscribers before I do that though. All right, so 87 through 90. Let me start the intro here. Welcome friends to Scale Model Kit Review Studio. This is Steve. Welcome back to another video for the exciting build of the Ford Mustang GT500 Shelby 1967 from DeAgostini Collectibles. That's a lot to say. Say it 12 times. Repeat after me. Just kidding. Anyway, I am on pack 21. Having a blast with this. This car is large and very detailed and a real pleasure to build. If you think you'd like to get this car for yourself, and if it's still available, head over to DeAgostini Collectibles. I put a direct link in the description below. There, you can go right there and subscribe to this from DeAgostini. You won't regret it. It's a big Mustang. If you're a Mustang fan, you gotta have this kit. So like I said, I am on pack 21. Stage is 87 through 90. Let's go ahead and look at the magazine here. It's a very high quality magazine. It has lots of great articles in here. So this one right here has ACA's precursor to the Cobra. So that's a beautiful car there. I would love to have a Cobra or even something like this. And of course our build instructions are contained within this. Very easy to follow, very nicely illustrated, and they give you everything you need to know about building the car here. And then what I really like about this article is the Australian Ford Falcon GT. So what famous movie car was the Australian Ford Falcon? That should be pretty easy if you know this movie series. But it's a wonderful article about that car, as you can see. And the answer is right there. Right? The Mad Max car. It's a highly modified 1978 Ford Falcon GT. Now I know there's a part work kit out there to build this, and I would love to build that on my channel. So I may try to go ahead and get that to build on my channel because I'm a big fan of that car. So that's that there. Now the other article I think was in 89. Let me go to that. Yes. All right. So this, in 89, they have a wonderful article about Ken Block's RTR Mustang Unicorn. Now this is a highly modified custom 1965 Mustang and driven by Ken Block. Now we do know that Ken Block was the ultimate driver when it comes to these cars, and he had some great videos on YouTube with this car. We know that Ken Block is no longer with us. He had a snowmobile accident up in Utah, I think it was. Maybe it was California, but I think it was Utah. And we miss him very much. So nobody can replace Ken Block. But there you go. So that's. And then they also have an article here, the Ford Focus WRC Assault on the Championship. These are really cool cars here. So these are wonderful magazines. All right, so without further ado, let's look at the parts that came with this pack, 87 through 90. '87, we're going to complete the radiator. We started that in the previous pack. '88 is the air cleaner assembly. That's nice there. 89 are the carburetors. And 90 is the distributor and the front part of the engine block. Let's get started on 87, right? 87. Let's go to 87. All right. So that's the intro. Done there. We'll work on the radiator here first. So I put everything away, but I have them readily available to me. And I'll go ahead and now move my lights where I have better lighting. I have to tone down the light for the magazines, for the glare. But I think with this, we are good to go. And we'll get a closer view of the instructions here. All right. Here's the instructions for 87. The radiator, front and top. Here's all the parts. And here we'll install some photo etch grills there. Throw some screws into that. We'll work on the radiator cap and overflow line. That will get mounted onto the radiator. And then we'll install the other part of the radiator that we received in the previous stage. And there it is. Let me get the parts, I'll be right back. Here's the parts for 87. Let's get a closer look. Okay. And this is where I just lay out the parts so you can see them a little bit easier. This is so if you're building this, you can compare to what you received from them and what actually showed, or what I filmed, what I have on hand. PS05, PS24 screws. Here's the top of the radiator. It is made of plastic. Radiator cap and overflow line. Here is, looks like the front of the radiator. And then we have the grill for that. And that's photo etch, very nice there. Yeah. Get the screws ready. I usually cut them open beforehand so I'm not battling with the bags in the video. And then look to see what I'm doing here first. So I'm installing the grill, photo etch grill, with PS24 screws. And that's just like the 1/6 scale Mustang. Nothing different there. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is install the grill, the photo etch grill, onto the front of the radiator here. And that's simply just going to go down. And it can go down any way. There's no specific way it goes. And we're going to put in 4 PS24 screws. These are countersunk screws, so they shouldn't stick up too far. I'm going to use a medium-sized screwdriver here, my PHO screwdriver by Wera. I typically won't film this. I'll show what I did at the end. There's no reason to show you how to put in screws. Going into plastic, so you don't want to over tighten these, as you could probably strip it out in the plastic. Just till it's snug. And these screws are specifically designed for plastic. They have larger threads. They self-tap and they self-cut themselves into the plastic. Screwdriver is magnetized, so it makes it easier to handle the screws. And the last one here. And all 4 screws are installed. Very easy to do. Just be careful you don't over tighten them. They are recessed screws. Now what I did notice here was it's kind of sticking up, and I'll try to flatten it down and then retighten these screws because the photo etch was sticking up some. Yeah, that's better. You do the other side. All right. Now we do the radiator cap. And I always like to super glue my rubber hoses in place. It's not necessary most of the time, but you'll find that. Okay. Zoom in a little bit here on top. Next, I'll install the overflow line on the radiator cap. Now, I like to super glue it in place, but a lot of times it's not necessary. What you can go ahead and do is get a hold of some sharp tweezers and try to make the line a little larger, just like that. Or you can use a toothpick if you want, just to kind of stretch it out some. And then I'll tap it in my super glue, my CA glue, and insert it. There we go. And that will dry immediately, but that's what that looks like there. I use the Satellite City Super T super glue. Works great. I always keep this in the refrigerator. It helps it to last longer. All right. Next, we'll go ahead and put the cap in place. It only goes on one way. And we're going to put a PS05 screw on the bottom side. And there you go. Now we'll install this on the radiator. Bring over our parts from stage 85, and this is where we started the radiator. We're going to turn this over, and we're going to install the top of the radiator cap up here where these tabs stick out. And you can see how I'm doing it here, where the overflow line is going towards the back of the car. And that's just going to tab in. Press fit in place, just like that. Next, we'll bring over the front of the radiator, and you can see the mounting lugs on the bottom. And we're going to put that, it's going to fit right in where those holes are. And you can see those holes come out on the other side here. And then we'll put our fan shroud on top of that. And making sure it looks like it's the same. And we'll line that up. Okay, yeah. All right. So bring over our fan shroud, and you can see there's a tab on the side of the shroud there. That lines up with that hole there. And it should go down flat. Just like that. We'll put in 4 PSO5 screws. And those screws just kind of sandwich everything together. Okay. Very nice, very detailed. And there you go. All right. All 4 screws are installed. You can see how that looks, very detailed there. Now you can see our overflow line is actually towards the front of the radiator. Very nice. That completes 87. Let's head over and get started on 88. All right, so that was fun. Nothing hard about that. Now these next ones, the parts are small, so what my goal is to go in close and detailed for these with my camera up above. But first we'll go ahead and film the instructions first. This is for the air filter. Bring those over, have those handy. Stage 88, we will work on the air filter. And here's all the parts involved with that. We'll work on putting in some of the, what they call the valves underneath the filter assembly there. We'll route one of the air tubes to that, and then we'll put in the photo etch mesh screen that goes around the outside of the air filter. Looking like we'll be putting our top of the air filter in place. And we'll be installing a few more items like the throttle linkage and spring. Very tiny parts there. And that's going in on the intake manifold. Very detailed here how that goes. And I hope to give you some close-ups to show you exactly what's going on here with that. Let me get the parts, I'll be right back. Here's the parts for 88. And you can see, we can see all the parts here. We'll get a closer view of these. Here's that photo etch screen. Okay, everything is plastic here, except for the photo etch. I'll pull that out. And lots of tiny parts in a separate bag. Throttle linkage for the dual carbs. A real spring. And it looks like, yep. Here's a close-up of those parts, and here's the bottom of the air filter itself. Made of plastic. The top, also made of plastic, has a unique Cobra symbol on it. Here's our photo etch screen. And this represents the filter assembly. I suppose you could go in there and paint that white if you wanted to. And all the components for the throttle linkage. The big thing here is our spring, which is made of metal, a real spring. Very nice there, bracket. PSO2 and DSO1 screws. Okay. All right, so this I got to follow closely so I don't forget anything. All right. Air valves. So we do the air valves first. And these are visible from underneath. Okay. and PSO2 screws. Get those ready. And these screws are chrome. And the first thing we're going to do here is install these air valves on the bottom of the air filter. And they have a alignment tab that helps you set them in place. Do that again. I think I went out of the camera range because I'm so close. And the first thing we're going to do is install these air valves. And these air valves themselves have an alignment tab on them. They'll line up with the hole. And then on the other side, we'll put a PSO2 screw into that to hold it in place. Do the other one. And that's what they look like there. And you can see they are visible from underneath. Next, I'll install the air tube, and that's this right here, and it only goes in one way. There is a notch that you have to follow for that, and that's going to go down just like that. We'll turn it over, and we'll put another PSO2 screw into that. And that's good there. Next, we're going to go ahead and put in our photo etch grill. And that's this right here. And you can see we have some tabs that stick out. They're going to get inserted in those slots all the way around here. And we'll do that on this side here. There's a groove that the photo etch goes into. Now, I like to plan this to where the seam of the grill is going to be towards the back where it's not seen, the back of the engine. So let me figure that out and I'll be right back. All right, so obviously the back of the engine, we'll see how this mounts, okay? So the back is this side here, it looks like. Because we have the Cobra symbol, it only goes on one way. And so we'll look to see how our grill goes. Yeah. All right. And it looks like the seam is actually going to end up on a side. Yeah. So what side of the engine do I want to have that on? Probably the left side, or the right side. I'll do the right side. Okay. Because that's the passenger side. Not that it matters, it's up to you how you would want to do it. Okay. All right, I'm back. So it's not going to allow me to put the seam on the back side just by the way the tabs are mounted on here. The seam is going to end up on the side. So I decided to put the side where the seam is going to be on the passenger side of the vehicle. If I take my cover, this is the front right here, because the cover only goes on one way with the tab there. So that would be the front. And then the seam will be over here on the right side of the engine. All right, I go ahead and insert these in. They just slide in like that, and then we'll wrap the photo etch all the way around. I'll do that and I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm going to start over on this side and wrap it around and insert all the way around. Easy peasy. Okay. There we go. Down all the way. And you can barely even see the seam. It's good. All right. Okay, so it's inserted. You can barely see the seam here. Once the top goes down and presses everything in place, it's going to look great. Okay. Now we'll take our filter assembly and we're going to lay that down. And it looks like it lays down with the flat edge here on top, just like that. And that gets inserted in there. And then our cap goes on this. We'll line the tab up. Press everything together. And a PSO2 screw. PSO2 screw goes in there. And you can see live here, I didn't struggle at all. Put this together, it went together very nicely. The photo etch looks great. Okay. And the PSO2 screw is installed. That's what that looks like. Photo etch looks great. This is the right side of the engine. Cobra symbol there. Very nice. With the filter inside. That's super cool. Now we'll go ahead and work on the throttle linkage. Okay. So now we bring over the intake manifold and valve covers. And this is where I'm going to have to film close because some of the parts are really small. And let's see, what side of the engine are we going to be doing that to? There. Yep. Okay. Alright, so I went ahead and retrieved our intake manifold and valve covers that we assembled in the previous pack, or the previous stages actually. I'm going to set it down just like this. Take note of your large holes on the left side here versus some of the more points here on this side. So we'll kind of follow that. That's what it shows in the instructions. We'll install the first part of the throttle linkage. Okay. So these are DSO1 screws, and it's not that bad actually, like I thought it would be. So I'm going to zoom in on that area. That's going to go like that. Looks like it. All right. All right, I brought over the throttle linkage. That's this right here. And we'll make sure this small arm is going in the direction to the right, and it's going to go down just like that. We're going to put a DS01 screw into that. It's a chrome screw. I can't speak today. It's almost like a Monday for me. All right, I brought over this throttle linkage here, 88I. All right, so I'm zoomed in here. We're going to be installing the throttle linkage on this side of the intake manifold. Here's our throttle linkage, DS. All right, I brought over the intake manifold. Okay, I zoomed in on the intake manifold, so you got a better look there. Working on the left side of it. And here's our throttle linkage, 88-1. That's going to go down just like that with a DSO1 screw. It's a chrome screw. It's not very big. And I'm going to put a little oil on that. There you go. That's how that looks there. Looks good. All right. Next is this bracket here. Now we're going on the other side here. We're going to install a bracket on these 2 points here. We have a alignment pin, and that's simply going to go down just like that. Another DSO1 screw will go into that. More oil. And there you go. That's what that looks like there. Okay. That goes there and there. Okay. Next, I'm going to continue on this side of the engine, and next I'm going to continue on this side of the intake manifold. We're going to install this portion here, and this is going to be part of our spring bracket. So that's going to insert screw right there, and we're going to press fit the other side in. Again, a DSO1 screw, and then the other part of the bracket press fitted in that hole there. And that's what that looks like there. And just to check that it's pressed down all the way, looks like it is. Oh, there we go. So make sure it's pressed down all the way. Here we go. And just make sure that that rod is pressed down all the way on this end here. And you got a better look there. No glue is required. Now we put our spring in. Very cool. Okay. This is where it's going to be fun. Okay. I'm going to zoom in just a little more. Next, we're going to install our spring, and you want it configured just like that. And our spring is going to go in this bracket here first, just like that. We'll stretch it out and put it in the other side. Perfect. And there you go. That's how that looks there. Very simple and easy. So that was not hard at all doing this. I enjoyed that. All right, we'll zoom out to our outro for this stage. Very easy. Very fun. Actually, the detail is fantastic here. It's great. I'm going to zoom you guys in just a little bit more. A little better. Let me know what you think in the comments, in the chat. You noticed memberships are available. Best way to support my channel, number one, the free way is to hit the like button and subscribe. Other way is the memberships. Membership's going to give you access, early access to my videos, and even some builds that won't be published on the normal channel. You'll have access to those and access to purchasing my model kits. First access to that and access to giveaways. All right, so and there you have it. Very detailed here with the throttle linkage. I enjoyed building that. Very easy. And the air cleaner, the air filter itself. That completes stage 88. Let's get started on stage 89. Okay. Very nice. All right, I need to get something to drink while we do this, while we get ready for this. 89 is going to be the carburetor. That's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to put something on the bench for you all to look at while I'm gone. Let me get it out. It is nicely wrapped away. I should do a video of it. Can you see that okay? Let's do it this way. I am going to get something to drink, and I'll be right back. All right, I am back. Okay, so what you see in front of you is a 1/24 scale die cast, and it is a Pro Stock Camaro from 1968. It's limited edition Grumpy's Toys 4 Mustang. One of 7,000 produced. So it's very cool. Has the Pro Stock drag slicks right under chassis, open headers for it. Very detailed. The graphics on it, Tampo graphics, are superb. Bill Jenkins was the driver, and it's one of the things I plan on adding to my channel are die-cast cars, my die-cast collection. This is just one of many that I have, and I dare anybody out there who may have another one of these. It's pretty rare, but very cool. So I thought I'd just kind of tease you with that. Okay. I'll put it away while we wait. And just to show you what the box looks like, this could very well be one of my giveaways for you all. Something unique. Only when you're a membership will you be eligible for the giveaways. All right, so let's continue on with the build. And let's see here. Let's go just a little closer. Here we go. All right, I still need to drink my water. All right, so do my intro for 89. 89 is the carburetor. Carburetors. Two of them. Here's the parts. Here's the instructions for stage 89. The carburetors. We'll be building 2 carburetors. Here's the parts. And the assembly instructions here. The diaphragm covers. And again, the front of the carburetors, putting those together. Some of the fuel linkages for the carbs. Then we'll mount those to the intake manifold themselves. I'll try to give you close-ups of what I do all along. Looks pretty easy though. Looks like we put our screws from the bottom side to hold everything in place. And we'll put our air filter on top along with some of the fuel lines, fuel tubes. That's what it looks like. Let me get the parts. I'll be right back. Here's the parts for 89. Let's get a closer look. Oh boy, front and back, front and rear. Okay, they are marked with a front and rear. All right. Get a little closer here. Okay. Yeah, that looks good. All right. Here's a close-up of those parts. And of course, like I said, we do have two different styles of carburetors here. We have the carburetor face plates. They are marked with an R and an F. F for the front and R for the rear. And some of our fuel tubing and linkages. PSO2 screw. These parts are all plastic. Trying to figure out what that's showing there. Oh, F. Okay. Zoom in. All right. So all the main carburetor parts are marked either with an F or an R. So these are all the F parts here. And you can see the F inside there and right there and on there. So we're going to work on that first. I'm going to go ahead and put our cap on this first. And it only goes on one way. There's a tab there. We're going to put our screw into that. PSO2 screw. There we go. Screws installed. And that's what that looks like there. Next, we're going to put our two carburetor halves together here, just like that. Make sure they line up like they're supposed to. Press fit together just like that. And that is the front carburetor. Now the rear carburetor, same thing. We're just going to press those two together, making sure everything lines up like it should. And both of those are ready to go there. Now we'll put our linkages on them, and it doesn't matter which goes where. That's these here. And you want to make sure that the linkage is facing upward, kind of like that. And we'll press fit those in place. That's how that looks there. Do the same with the other carburetor. Just like that. So both of those together should look like that there, right there. Really easy here. So I need to correct myself. Earlier I said this was the back of the engine, but this is actually the front of the engine, and that's where the distributor gets mounted. So most of your Fords are that way with the distributor up front. So we're going to put on our front faceplate for the carburetor. Or what they call the mounting plate, right? So you have a large hole and a small hole. They're just going to line up just like that. Press fit in place. We'll do the same thing on the rear mounting plate. And there you go. Both are installed. Okay. Now we'll mount the carburetors, and here's our front carburetor. And now we'll go ahead. Now we'll go ahead and mount the carburetors, and this is the front once again. It only goes on one way. You can see there's a small alignment pin and a little bit larger. That's going to simply go down just like that, line up with the mounting plate, just like that. And then the rear carburetor has a larger tab and a smaller tab that lines up with the mounting plate, and that's how that looks there. We're going to put 2 screws in those. I stand corrected. We're not going to put 2 screws into that just yet, because the screws go into the air cleaner, air filter. So all right, so we have this big one, and oh, there they are. Okay. Ooh, kind of hard to see. All right. So we're going to install this fuel feed pipe, and it's going to mount to the intake manifold right there in those 2 bottom holes. The top eyelets there will go in on the carburetor, and you can kind of see those right there, those tabs. So I can press fit those into those tabs first while I could just remove it and do it. And that's what they look like there. Now we'll mount that down. On the intake. Perfect. That's what that looks like there. Okay. Looks good. All right. Now we don't do anything else, but first we go ahead and put on the air cleaner next. And those are going to insert through the carburetor all the way through. Put our breather in, and I can put that down later. Turn this over. We're going to put our 2 screws into that, PSO2 screws. Very easy here. And both screws are in and tight. That's what that looks like there. Go over here to the breather and press fit that in place. Perfect. That's what that looks like there. Looks good. Very detailed. Impressive. Now we have a couple more fuel tubes or fuel pipes to put in. let's see where these fuel pipes go in. Do they go together? Oh, it's broken. Okay. So my fuel pipe came broken, so I'm going to super glue it. That's interesting. All right. And I'm going to install them. Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. So my fuel tube came broken. It would help if I put some accelerator on it, but I need a third hand to do that. So I'll just hold it. As long as it takes. All right. I could ask for a replacement part, but I'm not going to do that. Super glue is going to work fine for this. There we go. Okay. And lastly, I installed the other fuel tube to the front of the back carburetor right there, and the other side over there. My tube was broken, so I went ahead and just super glued it in place. It's not an issue. Looks good. So that completes stage 89. Let's get started on the final stage for this video, stage 90. Okay. All right. And I'm just securing those fuel tubes in place. That looks good. And also the photo etch for the fuel filter screen, I'm bending those over. So you don't really see them. The tabs on those photo etch are sticking out on the bottom of the air filter. I'm just bending those down. There we go. All right. I'm going to back this out just a little bit. Do the outro again for that. And that completes stage 89. Let's head over and do the final video for this. And that completes stage 89. Let's head over and do the final stage for this video, stage 90. All right. Now this is the big part. This is the distributor. We have a lot to do with that when I looked at the instructions. But it's a cool design because you can only put the spark plug wires in the distributor cap one way. There's only one way that they go in. So and here we are finally. And here's stage 90 build instructions, engine front end and distributor. So we're really going to be working strongly here with the distributor, all the spark plug wires and such. What is nice here is the wires have already been pre-cut, so that makes that nice. So we're going to install the cylindrical connector on the upper part of the back of the engine front. That's going in. And then we're mounting a support brace on the inside of the front of the engine. Then we're going to cut off all our 9 distributor connectors. I think they give us an extra one. And start inserting those on the distributor cap. They only go in one way. There's a D shape to the hole, so pay attention to that. And of course, I'll take you through that. The smaller hole on that connector obviously gets connected on your spark plug wire itself. I'm going to super glue those first, but you can see how they go. They're specific firing order for that distributor. Then we'll turn over the distributor and put this lower cap on, lining up the notch. And then it gets mounted to the front of the engine. We'll put a screw into that to secure it. I'll be right back with the parts. Here's the parts for stage 90. Let's get a closer look. So this is cool. I am stoked because I've never had a kit do this yet, where it lines up your spark plug wires on the distributor in the proper firing order. So I'm looking forward to that. Okay. Here's the front of our engine, painted in a Ford engine blue, engine block blue. And where's our... There it is. They're both in the bag. There we go. Am I missing one? 8, 9. So I don't see the spare unless it's in the bag. Okay. These are all the same length, I assume. So they give you all the wires the same length, but you can cut them as needed as you go to install them on your spark plugs and on the coil. All right. Here's a close-up of the parts. Here's your spark. Here's a close-up of those parts. These are the spark plug boots. And it looks like I did not receive a spare, but we have enough to do all of them. We have the front of the engine made of metal, painted in your Ford engine block blue. Very nice. We have the two parts for assembling this onto the main block. We have our distributor, the cap and the other part of it, and all of our spark plug wires. We have PS02 chrome and black screws. All right. And I'm going to cut these off ahead of time. Oh, they're numbered. Maybe I shouldn't have cut them off. Oh well. Okay. But they only go on one way. All right. All right. Back, hopefully. There we go. I am back. I apologize. The stream got interrupted for some reason. So I finished up with the Mustang, pack 21. Now we're going to go ahead and work on pack 4 of the LaFerrari. See that here. I hope everybody is doing well. Sorry for the interruption. I had to get out of the live and come back in and let me to resume. I've never had to do that before. So, like I said, this is the LaFerrari from Agora Models. Fantastic. This is the advertising pamphlet for it, but huge poster too. So you have all your engine detail, opening bonnet for the engine, the doors open and close electronically. That makes that kit super cool. 1/8 scale, of course. The remote control looks like a steering wheel. That's super cool there too. Of course, you got headlights and taillights, engine noise, all that. And like I said, this is a big poster here that you get. You can hang up in your hobby room or wherever you like. That's a big poster. All right. So we are on pack 4. I need to open up the instructions on my iPad. All right. And I have them all downloaded already, so it's just a matter of finding them. Pack 4. There we go. So, we'll work on the alternator, the starter motor, the engine block, the potentiometers, generator pulley. This is very engine heavy part of the build. Racing gearbox and clutch. Engine support arms. The transmission. And that is it. So, come with me and I'll take out all the parts. 25. So we begin this build with stage 25, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, and 32. And there they all are. All right. And I think I want to write down what we do here with these parts. I don't think it gave me a little key. No. So pack 4. $25 is the alternator. $26 is the starter motor. $27, they call it the powerful engine. Oops. $28. The potentiometers, those are the length. Okay, the length of the intake trumpets can be adjusted by the potentiometers. That's cool. $29 is generator pulleys. Generator pulley itself. And $30 is racing gearbox and clutch. $31 engine support arms. And 32 is the transmission. All right. All right, so I'll do my intro for this and then we'll get started. Welcome back, my friends, to Scale Model Kit Review Studio. This is Steve. Welcome back to another exciting installment of the Agora Models Build the LaFerrari. I am currently working on pack number 4 in this video. Remember, this is the 1/8 scale Ferrari, and fantastic here. It has lots of options. It has electronic opening doors, it has the lights that work, engine sound, fully detailed engine and transmission and interior. Makes for a fantastic build. You can head over to Agora Models and choose the subscription that best fits your budget, and they will work with you and ensure that you get all the parts when necessary. So like I said, I am currently working on pack number 4. Pack number 4 includes stages 25 through 32. This is engine intensive here. We're going to be working a lot on the engine and transmission itself. So for stage 25, we have parts for the alternator. Stage 26, the starter motor. Stage 27, powerful engine. Stage 28, the potentiometers. Stage 29, generator pulley. Stage 30, the racing gearbox and clutch. Stage 31, the engine support arms. And stage 32, of course, the transmission. So without further ado, let's get started on stage 25. Okay. So this should be fun. I've enjoyed this the whole time. Hope did I film an intro on this? Let me look at this. Look at my Yes. All right. Menu. There we go. Okay. Maybe I should drink some water. It might help out. So this is the 25 is the alternator. Get my iPad going here and show you guys what I got going on. Here's my iPad, and I have all the build instructions on it. Downloaded them ahead of time, and we're going to continue on with the build here. We're actually going to assemble some stuff from parts we received from the last pack. So I need to get those out. I need to get the rear window and the bezel assembly. But we'll do that here in a second. Let me do an intro to these parts packs. All right, for stage 25, says we'll be working on the alternator, and here's those parts. Let's get a closer look. And they're all separately wrapped in plastic, which is cool. So it helps protect them even more. A lot of times we have some really nice Ziploc baggies, poly bags. They're really nice. And being the model builder that I am, I save everything. These are really nice heavy-duty bags too. So definitely these will be saved. So I like to take them all out ahead of time, get them lined up, so you get a closer look at the parts. You'll know what to expect when you receive this kit. If you watch my video, you'll see the parts up close ahead of time. And everything here is plastic so far for these parts. I'm getting the parts I need for this build, getting them ready. Okay. Okay. Very cool. The finish on this, very nice. Zoom in on these parts. Here's a close-up of those parts. We did receive the cylinder block, and that's this right here. I love the finish on it. It's very rough, like a cast aluminum finish. 2 parts for the alternator and the rear window. Very nice there. I'll make sure I clean it off real good before I mount it. Okay. So I'm wearing a soft t-shirt. I'm just going to get my fingerprints off of it. And okay. Zoom out. All right, so I brought over my interior tub, and we're going to mount the rear windshield on first. There's two mounting holes that the windshield goes to. I cleaned off my windshield first, and they're just going to press fit in place on each end. Should snap in. There we go. That's how that looks there. Okay. That one didn't click, but it's in. So you could super glue those to hold them in place just in case. Yeah, and it even tells you that in the instructions. You can put a dab of super glue on those. But they're pretty tight. I don't think I need them. Don't need the glue. Okay, next step. That's it for that stage. Okay. So yeah, we'll build the alternator a little bit later, it looks like. So I'll outro this. And that completes stage 26, or is it 25? Hang on. Yep, okay. And that completes stage 25. Let's get started on stage 26. Okay. All right. So stage 26, definitely metal parts here. We actually get the motor base, the starter motor, the recovery pump, and some screws. Here's the parts for stage 26. Let's get a closer look. Very cool. Wow. Very heavy duty. Very heavy duty casted part. Wow. Impressive. And these all fill casted. Yep. Oh yeah, I need to get my bag of screws out. Sorry about that. B-type screws. There they are. Two of them. Here's a close-up of those parts. We Here's a close-up of the parts. Here is the motor base, and this is a very nice metal casted. Here's a close-up of those parts. Received the metal base. Here's a close-up of stage 26 parts, which is the starter motor, but in this case we received the motor base, the recovery pump, and the alternator itself, or the starter motor itself, right there. Let me start over. Here's a close-up of those parts. Here's a close-up. Here's a close-up of the parts for. And I'm going to give you guys a little closer view. Hang on. There we go. Here's a close-up of the parts for stage 26, the starter motor. And in this case, the parts we received is the motor base itself, the recovery pump, and the starter motor, and 2 B-type screws. The screws are all in a bag from the initial pack, which makes it nice. Now the motor base itself is metal casted, very highly detailed, very nice, very cool. I love the finish on it. Recovery pump is also metal casted, I believe. It doesn't, no, it's plastic. It feels like metal, but it's plastic. I can see the ejector pin marks for that. And the starter itself is also plastic. Very nice. Okay. Now let's see what we do here. We are going to mount the alternator first. Okay. Ah, nice. I'll test fit first before I begin, and you'll want to do the same thing if you build this. Yeah. I see. Okay. All right. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and install the alternator onto the engine base itself, and the screwdrivers I'm going to use are either going to be the PHO or the PHOO screwdrivers for this, and the larger PH1 screwdriver, which I'm going to use in this case right now. B-type screw is fairly big, so we're going to line up our alternator. It has an alignment tab that lines up to a little hole there right beside it, and put my B-type screw into that. It goes into plastic. We don't need to worry about oil or anything like that. There we go. Make sure the tab is still engaged. The screw is in. That looks good there. Now the motor base itself is going to snap down on top of that. Looks like it just press fits in place. Perfect. Snapped right in. Looks good. Next, they're going to mount the driver's seat to the interior tub. All right, get that ready. All right. Gotta get the seat out. Okay. Here's the driver's seat. Very nice. And that's I'm gonna do a dry fit here first before I do anything. Good, good. Let me see, grab the other seat. Doesn't identify which is which. So it may make a difference, but I doubt it. I doubt it very much. Plus it mounts on top. Okay. Perfect. Okay. All right, I brought over the interior tub. We're going to install the driver's seat here first. And you can see there's a tab on the top. It mounts on the top of the tub. And of course, another tab on the bottom that lines up with that. And then we'll go ahead and line up the top first and drop this down just like that. We're going to put our B-type screw into that from underneath. All right. It's good there. And perfect. Okay. And the driver's seat is installed. I got the top tab inserted and the B-type screw installed on the bottom. And that's all I do for stage 26. Let's go ahead and get started on stage 27. Very cool. Very easy. So we'll get ready for 27. Don't need any screws. 27 is the powerful engine. Next, we'll work on stage 27. This is the powerful engine. Let's get a closer look at the parts. Very well protected parts here. Once again, very nice die-cast metal part here. So we have the engine block part and oil filter. Okay. And here you go. This is the engine block half right here. Very nice. Very heavy cast metal part. And we have the oil filter made of plastic. Okay, we're going to go ahead and mount the recovery pump. So the recovery pump, I assume, is the oil recovery, right? Because this is a dry sump engine. And that's going to go on here, it looks like that. Okay, dry sump. And this is the recovery pump, oil recovery. And it's going to mount like that. Yep, okay. All right, so we'll grab our part that we just received in this stage, which is the engine half there, and we're going to install the recovery pump. It's plastic. It has 2 tabs here and 2 more on the end, and they're going to press fit on the side here. This recovery pump is actually your oil recovery, right? This is a dry sump engine. So we're just going to press fit everything into place. And I don't think we'll need to use any super glue or anything like that. And just to make sure everything is put together. It looks great. Everything's press fit. No glue required. Looks good. Now we'll do our starter. Next, we'll go ahead and install the starter, and that goes on the other side here. You can see the mount for that. That would engage on the flywheel for the engine, and it just press fits in one way. Has a flat edge to it. There we go. Got to kind of force it in. And here we go. Perfect. Kind of wiggle it back and forth and it goes in. So that looks good there. Next, the cap for the oil filter goes in right there. Press fit once again. Perfect. And that completes stage 27. Let's get started on stage 28. These are going by fast. All right. Hope everybody's doing well. Am I locked up again? No. Okay. Everybody still here? Anybody want to join the chat? The chat is open. Join on in. Hit the like. Smash the subscribe button. And become a member of my channel if you so choose. That will help my channel out immensely. You'll receive first access to content and giveaways. So we'll go ahead and intro these parts. Here's the parts for stage 28, which is the potentiometers. Let's get a closer look. You really can't see nothing because these metal parts are very well packed. Very nice. Okay. Again, part of the engine. Very nice. Zoom in closer from above. And here's the potentiometers themselves, made of plastic. So these potentiometers are essentially electric actuators that move the intake trumpets depending on the power setting for the engine, the throttle input, and the power. So that's what the potentiometers do. They adjust the trumpets, the air intake trumpets. We used to call them velocity stacks. Right? So velocity stacks, trumpet, same thing. All right. Here's a close-up of the parts. This would be the right cylinder bank itself, made of metal, very nice. And then the two potentiometers. And what these potentiometers are is they are actuators, electronic actuators that move the length of the intake trumpets or the velocity stacks, depending on your engine and throttle settings for power or less power, and basically controlling the airflow through those trumpets. Right, the velocity stack or trumpets create a vortex or Venturi effect, where your flow, you get where you have low pressure coming in, high pressure on the narrow part of the trumpet, back to low pressure. So it's all science. It's pretty cool. All right, let's move on. So we need G screws. Find my G screws in my bag here. There they are. Are there? There's not black G screws. These are chrome, so that's fine. check to make sure there's no black G-screws. I don't think there are. No black G-screws. Okay. So only one type. They show them. They look like they're black in the instructions, but they're not. So when I use the screws I use, I leave the bag out because there's a good possibility we'll use them again in this build. And we'll also need 2 G-screws. And we'll also need 2 G-type screws. Okay. Let's do it. All right. So this is where I'm trying to figure out what happens next. We have this one with our alternator on it. And this one with the oil filters. We have top and bottom of the engine here. Aha! There we go. All right, so I retrieved the top of the engine. That's this right here. The main engine block has the alternator on it that we installed. And then the bottom of the engine that has our starter and oil filter and our replenishing or retrieve pump. And these are going to go together just like that. And they will get screwed together with 2 G-type screws. I'm going to put some oil on them to help get them started. Make sure my screwdriver can go in there. Okay, so we got to make sure that these are tight. It's good there. I am using my PH1 screwdriver, the larger one. Once again, oil on the screw. Tighten it down as tight as can be. And there we go. Nice and tight. Both screws are in. Looks great. Now we'll install our potentiometers. And they're going to go on, looks like they go on each end of the engine here. Actually, where our velocity stacks are, let me get those parts. Okay, so let me redo that here. Next, we'll go ahead and install the potentiometers next. So I need to find those next. Okay, where is it? Where is it? There, that's these right here. Okay. I think these parts are the same. They look the same. Yeah, they're the same. Okay. Okay, so I brought over our velocity, what do they call this? Cylinder block. Okay. Okay, so I brought over the cylinder block. And that's this right here. We're going to put our potentiometers on each side. Both potentiometers are exactly the same. So they're going to mount to these small holes. There's 2 there and 2 there. And just want to line them up. Just like that. And press fit. Okay. Actually, there's a lot of stuff that happens here. Okay. And I think I'm going to make that a little bit larger, that hole, with an X-Acto blade. And then we'll line it up. First one on the end there, and press that all in place. Perfect. We'll do the same on the other side, and it's just going to help it out a little bit, help everything line up. And if you make the hole too large, you could use some CA glue or super glue to lock it in better, but it doesn't need much. And then line up the large pin, and then the small pins will fall in place. Perfect. There we go. Both potentiometers are installed. Now we're going to install the cylinder head on here. And very interesting there. Okay. I see. I see, says the blind man. Okay. Very cool. Ah, the other way? Okay. So you have these tabs that line up, and we'll do that. All right, next we're going to install the cylinder head to that trumpet part here, or the top of the, what is that called? Cylinder block to the cylinder bank. Okay, join this cylinder block to the cylinder block. Okay, so now we're gonna join the cylinder block here that we just put the potentiometers on to the cylinder head. And if you notice, we have these tabs here that are sticking out. They're gonna line up with these 3 inserts. So it's just gonna press fit in, snap in place, just like that. Actually, there's no snapping. They just slide in. Okay. And that's pretty much it for that. So that completes stage 28. Let's get started on stage 29. So put those aside. We're getting there. All right. Get a drink of water here. Here's parts for stage 29. This would be the generator pulley. Let's get a closer look. The other side of our cylinder bank. Very cool. And our pulley. We need G-type screws again, 4 of them. Here's a close-up of our parts. This is the left cylinder bank. Once again, heavy-duty metal here, cast metal. Very nice. Our pulley, generator pulleys, and 4 G-type screws. All right, so we do the other side now. Next, we'll go ahead and install the other side of our cylinder bank. Just like we did, this is the right side. This would be the left side. And we're going to slide that all in together. Okay. That looks good there. Okay. Everything press fits in place there. That looks good. Okay. All right. I want to do this. Next, we're going to put the cylinder banks on top of the engine block, and you want to pay attention here. You can just see that these holes here are a little forward more than the other one. So when you go to line this up, you want to see the same thing with those. And it's just going to go straight down on top. Okay, just like that. And of course, 4 of our G-type screws will hold that all down. Use some oil on them. And that's what it looks like there. So these really take some torque. So you definitely want to use your number 1 screwdriver. For that. Definitely want to use oil. And you want to get them started as straight as possible. And I think I got them on backwards. So I'm going to turn it around because they have to line up. That's fine. So looking at the pictures a little closer, I'll have to explain that. All right. Okay, turn it around. Yeah, that's better. All right. So we'll start over. All right, so we're going to put our cylinder banks on top of the engine here. This is our main engine block. And the key here is don't worry about necessarily where the holes are, because you're going to be mounting them on top here on these 4 points. But when you go to mount this on top, you want to make sure that you're flush on the end here. That way you know you're right. If you go the other way, flip it the other way, you're not flush. See the difference? Okay. So we'll turn this around and make sure we're flush, and we'll put our 4 G-type screws into this. I'm going to use oil, and you want to drive them home as flat as possible and as tight as possible. I'm using my Wera number 1 PH1 screwdriver for this. Okay. See, when you think you have it right the first time, you don't. So let me make the mistakes before you do. But it's all good. Tight. Good. And the 3-in-1 oil definitely helps. There's some flash in those holes. You might want to check those and make sure they're cleaned out. Some metal flash. One more. And just be careful while you're handling this, you don't put undue pressure on some of the plastic parts. There we go. All right. All right, all 4 screws are installed. I made sure that I used 3-in-1 oil to help it along. I drove them in straight down as much as possible and as tight as possible. Be careful while you're handling the parts. You don't put any pressure on some of the plastic parts that are on here. But with that, it looks good. I did discover there's a little bit of metal flash on those metal parts that you could clean out with your X-Acto knife. But that's how that looks. Now we'll install the pulley onto this. That's going to go on the front of the alternator. I know they call it a generator pulley. And that's going to snap in to the front here. And our next one is going to press fit to that. It's good there. And that's how that looks there. That completes this stage, stage 30. That completes this stage, stage 29. Let's get started on stage 30. All right. It's looking like an engine. Perfect. All right, getting there. Almost 12 o'clock here. Here's the parts for stage 30, which is the racing gearbox clutch. Let's get a closer look at the parts. I love the finish on these. Okay. Here's the racing gearbox and clutch. This is the gearbox itself, made of plastic. And the clutch, same thing, made of plastic. We need one I-type screw and a G, and okay, two G's and two I's. And they are silver, so it should be easier to find them. There they are. And these are the I's. Okay, the I screws are made for plastic, and the G's are made for metal. So I can go ahead and point that out. Do a close-up. While we're at it. So we need two types of screws for this stage. We need the G-type screws, which are these right here. Notice the threads are a lot finer and closer together. That's for metal parts. And then the I-type screws, the threads are wider, made for plastic. All right. So you're not going to get confused when you put them aside because it's pretty obvious the size of the threads. So what do we do first? We put on the clutch first. I like this. So do some test fitting here. Looks like that. Yep, that looks right. They require the metal type. Yep. And the G's. We're going to install the clutch onto the engine, and you can see how the clutch looks there. You want to have this part feed on to where the starter is. Note we have screw portions here. We want those facing outward. So we're just going to line up the holes, just like that. And then we're going to put two G-type screws into that. Remember, they're going into metal. So once again, oil. Oil is your friend. And I'm just holding the engine carefully so I don't damage the plastic parts. And with this, you definitely don't want to over tighten these because they could split the plastic. Just until it's snug. That's good. Okay. And both G-type screws were put in. Make sure you don't over tighten them where you can split the plastic on this clutch case here. Just make sure it's tight, and it is. It looks good. I did use some oil on those G screws. Now we'll mount our clutch assembly, or the gearbox, I'm sorry, the gearbox to this, and it should match. Here we go. Should match. There we go. Okay. Next, I'll install the gearbox onto the front, and it should match. So you know you have it on. You know you have it on. Okay. Now install the gearbox onto the clutch, and it's a direct fit, as you can see there. And we're going to use our I-type screws down there, 2 of them. Remember, we're going into plastic here with those. Very nice. This is impressive. I like this. I like this build. It's fun. Very cool how everything lines up and goes together here. Put your screws in until they're snug. That's good there. And they look just a little bit tighter this time. I hate to over tighten these things. Good. There we go. Now they're snug. That's good. That's how that looks there. Okay. And that completes stage 30. Looks great. Let's get started on stage 31. All right. Looking good. Just 2 more stages. Oh, we have the belt here. Okay, they call this the engine support arms. All right. Here's the parts for stage 31. This is called the engine support arms. Let's get a closer look at all the parts. Cool. Lots of Ziploc bags here. Here's looks like a support arm, but I doubt it. It's a window. That's cool. The belt. Another pulley, looks like. All the parts here. Looks like a water pump. Yep. And another support arm. So these are the 2 support arms. I'll take them out separate here. What is that? Protection panel. All right. and right. Support arms. And timing cover. Okay. Water pump. Crankshaft pulley. Okay. Belt. Here's a close-up of those parts. This would be the timing cover made of plastic. We have our protection panel that has a clear part to it and black. Very cool. Very nice. We have our water pump. We have our pulley. We have our crankshaft, or our belt, I'm sorry, our belt. Crankshaft pulley. And the belt cover and our support arms. Left side and right side. So we'll put the support arms first. And our protection panel after that. Left and right. Support arm 3. They're the same. Not exactly the same, are they? Okay, what side of the engine is what? Now the engine sits in the back. Okay. With the transaxle in the back. Let's look at the pictures. Yeah. Okay. So, this is the back, left and right. Okay. We're going to go ahead and mount the engine supports. They are marked with a left and a right, so you need to determine what side of the engine is what. So this is, the engine sits in the engine compartment. This would be the front. This would be the back, where the transmission is, or the gearbox. Okay, so we're going to put our engine mount just like that. We're going to press fit in place. And then our other side, very similar. And hey, it is foolproof because we have the round. It was round there and it's square on this side, so I did get it right. There we go. So both engine mounts or supports are installed. Just press fit in place. Now our protection panel goes down next, and it looks like it mounts to 2 tabs right here. There we go. There and there. go. And there. Okay. All right, so they're both in. Little fiddly there, but they did snap in place. And just to show you where they went in at, right there, and on the back side in that corner, it went in. And take my t-shirt, get my fingerprints off of it. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and put our timing cover on the front. And that's going to press fit in place again. There we go. Everything's snapped in place there. Pretty much. All right. Making sure everything is secure throughout. Looks good. And that completes stage 31. Looks great so far. Very detailed. This engine is very nice. Let's head over and get started on the final stage for this video, stage 32. Very cool there. All right, the last stage. Pack 4 will be done after this. Excuse me. All right. Let's get started on the final stage for pack 4, and that would be stage 32, the transmission. Here's the parts. Let's get a closer look. All right. Here's the close-up. Here's a close-up of those parts. Transmission A and B. Very cool, very well detailed, both made of plastic. And then the differential cover itself. I-type screws. And we need 4 I-type screws. Okay. Okay, so this just matches up like that. And then we put our 2 I screws into that. Looks good. We're going to install the first part of the transmission. That's this right here, the larger one. That's going to go on the end of our gearbox, just like that. And 2 I-type screws will hold that down. Okay. Goes together like a puzzle. Very cool. All right. Both I-type screws are installed. Remember that they went into plastic. That's how that looks there. Next we'll put the other part of the transmission cover on. That's this right here. And it's going to mate up with the shape of the back end of the transmission. You can see how that goes together just like that. And 2 more I-type screws go into that. Just snug them down. Okay. Very cool. And then the cover goes on. All right. Get everything out of the way here. And there you go. Those screws are tight. The transmission is mounted. Now the last thing we do is we mount the differential cover. That's this right here. Has two tabs that line up. It press fits in place. Perfect. They snapped right in. That's what that looks like there. I'll be right back. I'm just going to put a little super glue on this protection panel to hold it in. So my handling of this made it all loosen up. So that should be good. I'll let that sit for a little bit. All right, that looks good. And we'll get everything ready for the outro video. So I am done with pack 4. There we go. Making sure everything is inserted good. Okay. Do that. Pieces and parts here. Looks good. All right. Kind of letting that all dry. That was fun. Not very hard. Actually, I think I finished this faster than what I thought I would, but it looks good. I'm glad you all joined me. This was the LaFerrari that I've been working on. Pack 4. And really easy to build, a lot of fun, very gratifying on how everything fits together on this. Engineering is superb, second to none here. All right, so let me do my outro for my video that I'm filming here. And there you have it. That completes. And there you have it. That completes pack 4 for the LaFerrari. And there you have it. I take several takes, as you can tell. And there you have it. That completes pack 4 for the Build the LaFerrari from Agora Models. If you think you'd like to get this for yourself, head over to Agora Models and purchase this kit. They have many options available on how you can purchase this, what best suits your budget. So with that, I had a blast building this. I put a link in the description below. I am now accepting memberships on my channel. So if you'd like to support my channel and get early access to videos and content along with some future giveaways that I'll be having, please join my membership. And there's a button down below for that, I believe. With that, please subscribe and smash that like button, everybody. Until next time with Pack 5, we will see you down the road with this. Take care and happy modeling. All right. So that is it for Pack 4. What a blast. This is nice. Did a lot on that engine. We got a lot more to go, looks like. And the parts here. I'm going to put these in a bag so I don't lose them. One of the poly bags, plastic bags we got. We got a lot of bags. I like saving them. They're really good heavy-duty plastic bags. So I don't lose these. Until next time, that's good. So that was good. I am getting hungry. I hope you guys enjoyed the video today. The IRL live feed. You got to see exactly how I do things on camera. And it's just fun. I started off the video with the 1/6 scale DeAgostini Mustang. That was a lot of fun there. And now finishing up here with the LaFerrari. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat. The chat is open. Of course, once the video is complete, there will no longer be a chat, but you can put your comments down below in the comments. I love to answer your questions. It's not a problem. We got a lot done today, so that was good. Let's zoom out here. So thanks for joining me today. It is what, March 3rd, I believe, 2026. There's a lot going on out there in the world, and this right here helped take my mind off of it. Please pray for our troops. Wherever they may be, they need your prayers. And I think often about my time when I served, and I know how important it is for you to, if you have loved ones over there, try to keep in contact with them, write them letters, send them gift packages and all that. It really helps improve the morale, so wherever they may be deployed and such. So with that, I'm going to sign out. Thank you all for joining my live feed for today, and we'll be doing this more often, and maybe a different format. I'm working on doing it in my other studio, and we'll have more options going on, different camera angles and such. So I look forward to that. Take care, everybody, and happy modeling.